Thank you.
You're welcome.
We're still connecting.
Okay, John will certify that we have a quorum.
We do, and also that the board members were informed of the meeting in a timely fashion.
Okay. Okay, well, the purpose of the meeting was to vote for a proposal to send to the ownership on a capital fund charge at the time of purchase for new owners. So Joe has been working with Christina on setting up all the language and getting her advice. And so Joe, if you would like to kind of fill us in on your conversations with Christina.
Yeah, okay, so in summary, this idea was brought up at the last board meeting, and I think maybe even at the one prior to that. Two owners, Wayne Alexander, who has some property in Texas that's within an HOA, mentioned that a good way to, in a trendy way, because it's happening a lot, to enhance association reserves was to have a fee assessed upon transfer, sale of ownership of a unit to a new owner, such that the new owner made an immediate and somewhat significant contribution to the association's reserves in kind of a catch-up mode, you know, in respect with respect to the fact that current owners who've been around a long time have been contributing to the reserves, which are now in excess of $800,000 in our case, for a long time. And a new owner comes in and may benefit from spending of those reserves immediately, potentially. So it made sense to think in terms of having that owner make an immediate contribution and thereby have some ownership in that right from the outset. So Wayne said this was a successful thing that was going on at his HOA in Texas. Eric Tibbetts also indicated that his HOA in Florida had done the same thing. And I did a little research on it and I found out that it's a pretty common thing. Christina Landry, you, our attorney, indicated to me that she's done 5 or 6 of these already with her other association clients in the Durango, La Plata County area. So thought it might be a good idea to jump in. Did you all, I think you all received this copy of the, it was emailed out, copy of the draft that resulted from the iterations that I went through with Christina. It's pretty simple. There's 2 major paragraphs. One paragraph describes the reserves fee, which is an amount equal to two months of base association fees at the time of closing, and then a couple of or a few exceptions to the deal, such that in certain cases, like for instance, on the death of an owner and the transfer of the ownership of the unit to a family member by virtue of a will, situations like that, and a number of others, that there'd be an exemption from the association fee or the reserves contribution fee, and it wouldn't need to be paid. So that's basically the summary. If there's any questions, Rick, if you want to, I don't know if you want to have any discussion on it now, or having a motion and a second and then have some discussion.
Real quick, what we arrived at was 2 months of HOA fees as the amount. My understanding is Christina said that what we see a lot around the country is 1% of the sale price. But she indicated the state of Colorado is beginning to look at that because the state feels associations are using that as just a fundraising vehicle. And so she wanted to steer us away from any type of percentage.
Yeah,
So-
that's true. Yes.
So we set it at 2 months HOA fees.
Is that the base fee or all the extra phone and internet?
It was at the base fee. Yeah, just the HOA portion. So, I guess at this point, I'll make a motion that we accept the proposal for the capital fund charge to be implemented subject,
Yeah. So
subject to owner approval.
by the way, this takes a 51% vote of the owners, not a supermajority 66 and 2/3.
Well, depending on the vote today.
Correct. Yeah, you got to get 2/3 of the board to vote in favor of it.
I'll
Like-
second Rick's motion.
Okay, now we can have discussion. One other thing I did here, as I was driving in, there was a real estate expert from Colorado was talking and saying that even though interest rates are rising, it's still not slowing down the real estate in Colorado yet. You know, most of the sales here at Tamaron are cash sales, so they're not as affected. But as I thought about it too, also, you know, new construction in the area is not the type of dwellings that we have, you know, in our price range. So the guy that was speaking was saying that until supply catches up with demand, prices are still going to be high and they're still going to be moving. So, you know, people are just not creating what we have in the area. So what I'm trying to get to is demand is probably still going to stay up for our type units. So,
I will tell you, financing could get more and more problematic, though.
yeah,
Just for several reasons. I think I sent the board a notice about some changes that Fannie made after that collapse in Florida. And they're requiring lenders to do a much deeper dive into condos as far as their structural integrity. And it's scared the hell out of lenders. So lenders are kind of backing off a bit on condos. So we may have some issues until that gets settled. I don't know. We won't know until we, deal with it.
yeah. Okay,
I'll comment that when I started out on this, I had a discussion with, this was before I left the property last summer. I had a discussion with Julie Glynn about it, and she thought as long as we kept it reasonable and she considered 2 months of dues of HOA fees reasonable and didn't try to gouge, so to speak, that this would be palatable for the majority of the real estate community in Durango as well.
I've also,
Can
Go ahead.
can I speak? I know I'm not on the board, but I when we bought our place in 2019, had expected something like that in our fees, so as a fairly recent property purchaser, property owner, I had expected it, but I was pleasantly surprised not to have had it. Would have paid it, don't get me wrong, but I think as an individual, I'm glad to see it myself.
yeah, I've spoke to a couple owners on property and they've been in favor of it.
Yeah, the scheme of things, we're only talking, what, $700-800, right?
Yeah, it could range anywhere from, say, about $600 up to larger units, maybe up close to $1,000. Yeah.
It doesn't sound like anything that would make somebody walk away.
No.
No.
Any other questions, comments?
And one other, I don't have it in front of me, but the other thing I did when I was kind of diving into this is I did a pro forma based on, current market trends, maybe with some adjustments for reality once that starts to set in with this crazy real estate market. But if we had done this like last year, we would have pumped about $50,000 or $60,000 into the reserve. So it's not a small amount of money.
Well, and I've been in Denver the past week, and there have been several news stories about real estate. And they said for the entire state, it has not slowed down yet. There are a few less buyers, but as far as properties moving, nothing slowed down. And in fact, prices are still rising. So. Okay, well then, if there's no other questions, comments, we'll go ahead and take a vote to approve the proposal. All in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? None? Okay, John, it passed 7-0.
Thank you.
Okay, that concludes what we had on the agenda. We are going to move to executive session. Once we've concluded our executive session, we will reconvene the meeting solely to formally adjourn the meeting.
Keep this meeting going. Just mute everything and then start again when you come back, or can we just? shut this?
Yeah, we've never done that.
We have done that. John, what's the protocol on that?
Well, the board does need to come back into session at the end of the executive session in order to adjourn this meeting.
Yeah.
However, you would need to establish your quorum again in order to adjourn it. I mean, it's a technicality, but technically, yes. We either need to get back on, if we shut this down, get back on, or we keep this open in some way.
We, under our rules, we're forbidden from taking any other action other than what was on the agenda. So. Yes, Brian.
Oh, you probably just answered my question there.
Yeah, yeah.
Can we talk about parking?
We
Put that up till the
we cannot.
next meeting.
We cannot, because it was not on the agenda. When we have a special meeting, it's only what's on the agenda. And
One coming up at the end of May.
yeah, in about a month.
So then we'll discuss that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So with that, thank you everyone for attending, and the board will go into executive session now.
If we jump off this one, if we jump off this one, we just log into the to the link that Gary gave us for the executive session, correct?
Yeah,
That's correct.
It's already started.
Okay, sounds good. I'll be there. I'll see you there.
Okay. Thanks, Brian.